Hello friends, and welcome back to the gaming table. We're going to take a little bit of a break from Frosthaven because I don't want this channel to be exclusively Frosthaven for the next, 2 years if I continue on this same path here. So I'm going to be breaking it up from time to time just so that I can put some different games out, some good games that I have in my small collection, and one that I've been dying to bring to this channel for some time is Mage Knight. Now, if you don't know, if you've never heard of Mage Knight, then you are in for a treat. If you have heard of Mage Knight, well, I think you're still in for a treat because I haven't met many people that don't like this game if they've played it or even heard of it. Now, as with other channels, I think everyone's on the same page that this is not going to be a learning game. If you want to learn Mage Knight, there is only one place to look, and that is for Ricky Royal. Now, this is like probably 7-8 years ago when he made these tutorial videos for Mage Knight, and they're still perfect. Nobody can compare to his content on Mage Knight. And it was his content, along with The Lonesome Gamer, that got me into this game, Mage Knight, and I am so happy that I found it. This is the Ultimate Edition. I think this came out in 2018, something like that, and it is by WizKids. And in this Ultimate Edition, we have all of the expansions available at the time of release. I don't know if more is going to be coming for Mage Knight in the future, but and there's even some new cards that come exclusively with the Ultimate Edition that you can't find anywhere else, I don't think. So the only gripe that I have for this game is the box is way too big for the content. I'm going to show you here in a second, but the box is gigantic compared to a lot of other board games. And when we look inside the box, I've pulled the insert out because it just kind of broke. It wasn't very good quality, and I got these like Ultra Pro deck boxes. And I think each costs like, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 or something like that. And I got one for each class, each character, and then two of them for all the other cards in the game. Yeah, I had just kind of like a bag, like, I don't know, a tie bag sitting around, and the mat tiles fit perfectly in there. So I used that instead. And then I went onto Etsy and found this. There's all of the enemy types have their own little sack. So yeah. Oh, and then this I think is the most innovative thing that I could have come up with for this game is I got these. I think they're Ultra Pro, four card pages. I just kind of put some rope through the handle or the two holes there. And now all of the cards, all of the rules that I kind of look at the most are on these in this little book. So now I don't have to open the rule book all that often. And then there you go. Maybe they'll throw me some money for that. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to show that like it's this huge box and everything fits in this kind of corner, and it's kind of too big. I don't know why they went that route. They could have made a much smaller box. Even the core box probably could have fit everything if they worked hard on an insert for it. So maybe it was just a marketing kind of thing, make the box big so that it looks like a lot. I don't know. But regardless, that's the only thing I have against this game is how big the box is. So what we're going to do, let's set up this game. I'm going to play just the normal kind of scenario, normal as in there are 2 cities that we have to conquer. I believe it's just the conquest scenario. So we'll set that up. I'll give a little bit of an explanation on the setup and a little bit on how to play, and then I'm going to jump into the gameplay. So I don't have too much chit chat. And if you need to learn about the game, either continue watching and you'll see the rules as they come up, or head over to Ricky Royal to really understand how the game is played. All right, so we're all set up here. This is what the full table looks like now. Let's take a dive in in all of these kind of spaces to show you what is involved in the game. And then we'll dive into the first turn. Over here is my player area and the map. This is the character that I randomly chose. I just kind of roll a die and figure out who I'm going to be playing as randomly. This one is Arythea, and she's got a couple interesting cards that help out kind of magically with her. This is where we start off, and the portal. Now there is kind of like a story, some text that I'm just going to skip over because honestly it's too much and it doesn't really make sense. So the game's not really coming in with a narrative. I believe the narrative really is just how you play the game, and it builds a really beautiful story, to be honest. So these are our skill tokens. We gain them at particular points of leveling up. I'll show you here in a moment. But this is our little pile, and this is the pile of the dummy player, which we've set up. And the dummy player is really done well as a timer for you. Because we're playing solo, we don't have an opponent that adds to the timing of the game. Otherwise, we could just play, and kind of takes turns really slowly. The timer, the other player, the dummy player, builds kind of that excitement of how many more turns do I have? This is another part of our leveling up. So every other level up, we either flip one of these or we gain a skill and an action card from up here. These are just the turn order. This is my action deck. I will draw from here at the end of every turn, and we start off with 5 cards in our hand. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll flip these over here in a moment, but just to kind of give you an idea, this is what we have in our hand at all times. 5. This number can increase due to that number, or some ability card or some action cards can increase your hand size as well. This is my inventory every time I gain a crystal, which we have over here. Every time I gain a crystal, they'll go into my inventory. We can never have more than 3 of the same color, and then those are used to power up these action cards. So let's take a look at the action cards really quickly. This is the advanced action offer. They come from this deck up here, and we have 3 available to choose from when we level up, or if we get one for kind of a reward for something, we get to choose from these 3. then they slide down. If I took this one, these two would slide down and we pull another one. Each action card, either basic from our hand or advanced from the offer up there, has two effects. There's the basic effect and the strong effect. And the basic one is just used freely, unless it says otherwise. If you need to pay a crystal of some kind or a token, mana in that case, then you'd have to pay for it. But in this case, it just says move to, blah, blah, blah. So we use that for that ability, or that effect. To use the bottom, the more strong effect, we have to pay a mana of that color. And these can come in a variety of different ways, but we'll get into this here in a moment as well. But this is mana cost to do the bottom effect, the stronger effect. Some of these actions will give you a crystal for free, or you can pay that crystal or mana in order to do that bottom one. Then there's the wound deck up here. They're all the same. It's just whenever you take a hit, you add this to your hand and or your discard pile. These are the artifacts. If we get to see one, then I'll show you what they are, but we'll keep that a surprise until that pulls up. And then the spell offer. These are kind of like these action cards. These work in a similar way, except that you have to pay the cost, the mana cost here. The top one can be used day or night, and the bottom one can only be used during night or in locations where night is available to you. So you can't spend black mana unless it's night or you're in a location that is dark, I guess. Then you can use this bottom spell, the stronger spell. Same way works if I were to take this one, then these two slide down and another one comes in. They also get refreshed at the end of each kind of day or night cycle. And that is shown here, where this is daytime, and then during the night, we flip that over, and we get to look at the night side. And each tile, each space that we move, this is the movement cost. So if we come back over to the map real quick, this is a forest. Well, during the day, the forest costs 3 movement points, and at night it costs 5. So if we flip it over, you can see the opposite here. It says 5 and then 3. Most places cost the same day or night, but deserts cost more during the day because it's hotter, and forests cost more during night because it's dark and I guess you get lost in there. So these are a form of mana. They're these tiny little dice here, and to set up the mana offer, we roll at the very beginning. So there we go. So we have a blue, green, and yellow or gold. Yellow or gold, whatever, I'll say yellow and gold probably throughout the game, is any other color during the day. At night, it's nothing. At night, black is only black. It's not everything else. But during the day, it's nothing. So we have, this one is like a wild during the day. And what I'll be doing, before I do that, let's pull down. This is the unit offer. I'll fill this up really quickly. And we have 2 decks. This is the basic and the more advanced, I guess. These ones are definitely stronger than the silver-backed ones. but we can't get to these until we've gone through enough of these map tiles. When there's 4 more left, then we can start pulling from the gold offer for units. And you'll see this when it happens. I'm just kind of going through really quickly. Up here there's a couple tracks. One, we keep track with our character tokens here. They're kind of like little shields. This is fame, and this is reputation. The more reputation you have, the more influence you gain that you can use for instance, hiring units in the offer. If you have negative fame or negative influence, negative reputation, then you'll have negative influence. And if you ever reach X, then you cannot do you can't use influence at all. So you wouldn't be able to start hire anymore until you get out of that. So typically, if you want to hire, then you want to hire more. You want to go higher into the positive reputation. If you don't care about hiring, in which cases there are some benefits for going in this direction, but it benefits you in the short term. This kind of benefits you in the long term, I think, is a good way to say it. This is kind of like experience. So every time you kill an enemy, you gain a certain level of experience. And every time you drop a level down, you gain this. So this first one basically is suggesting that we flip this top octagon over here, and now we can hire somebody here. That's basically what that's suggesting. This is a command token. So we can only command 1 unit at the moment. It's been a while since I've played this, so I'm forgetting some of the terms. But when we drop to an icon that shows that, then we can gain a card from the offer here, and we gain a skill token from the offer. At the moment, all we have are our own, but every time we level up, after we grab one of these tokens, we'll flip 2 and choose from the 2. One will also come from here, from the dummies, and then we can also take one of those. If we take one of those, we have to take this card, this first card here. Otherwise, we can take any of the 3. All right, I think that's enough. I really didn't want to get too deep into this, and I think that was probably deep enough. So I'm going to set this camera up real quick. We can, I'll show the hand. You can see as much information as possible. I think that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. So this is our starting hand. We have stamina, which is a move 2 or move 4. Swiftness, move 2 or ranged attack 3. I'll get into what that means. Another stamina. Another swiftness, great. And battle versatility, where this is one of her, Arythea's ability cards, or I'm going to say ability cards because I've been playing Frosthaven, but action cards. And in this case, we can attack 2, block 2, or range attack 1, and the stronger ability is attack 4, block 4, fire attack 3, fire block 3, range attack 3, or siege attack 2. Pretty handy card here. So at the moment we have a ton of ranged attack, which is very helpful. There's a few more things that I need to do on the board here before we start, and that is put out some enemies. So when we see this icon, when placing any time we place a map tile onto the board. If we see this icon, we put an orc face up in that space. These are rampaging orcs. This is a town. This is a glade, magical glade. Some cool things in there. These are mines, and that right there it shows like a pile of green. It's pretty difficult to see. A pile of green crystals. If you end your turn here, then you can gain a green crystal into your inventory, and that's pretty helpful. These are just normal plains, forests, hills. They all have their pay cost, movement cost to get in there. Oh wow, this is 2 and 3. This is like the introductory setup just by chance. This is a castle or a keep, and when one of those shows up, you put a random one face down here, and it gets revealed if during the day you move through or end on a hex adjacent to it. So we don't know what it is until we're near it. At night, you only reveal it if you attack it. So that would mean moving into that hex. With these rampaging enemies, the orcs here and the draconum or dragons, you can't move into their spaces. You have to attack them from an adjacent hex. There's some white crystals down there. Okay. So since I have a lot of movement, I have a lot of, these are both movements as well, but they're also ranged attacks. And this is an attack and ranged attacks as well. I feel like my best option is to go and attack that guy, at least at the beginning. Maybe I could go and attack here, but because it's a castle, then those range attacks can't be used as range attacks. They can only be used as like attack attacks, kind of. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's only every character will have these 2 of these stamina cards in blue, 2 of them are in green, 2 swiftness, and then there's like in total there's 4 blue, 4 white, 4 green, and 4 red. Red are basically attack cards. Blue is like a movement and shields or blocks. White is kind of these range attacks. They can be for movement. They can be for attacking. They can be for what else? There's kind of a variety of things. And green is a lot of movement, but they can be used for healing. There's some for like siege attacks. Yeah. So white and green are kind of a variety of things, whereas blue is mostly movement and block, and red is mostly attack and block. That's kind of what I think of. Before I choose to play, though, we have to choose an initiative. And how that works is we go over to these cards here, and we choose a card that will aid us in our turn. Early Bird for playing solo is not really a good card to choose, in my opinion, so I kind of leave that out. Rethink. When you take this tactic, discard up to 3 cards, including wounds, from my hand, then draw that many cards and shuffle those cards that you discarded back. So if I discard 3, then I could draw 3 cards and then shuffle those cards back in. I kind of like what I have because it's a lot of movement. We do have like a blue mana up here, so that could be used to beef up one of these. We can only ever use one of the die for mana in a turn unless otherwise a card says otherwise. I'm not going to take Rethink then. Mana Steal is another one of these that's basically I can just take this, put one of the dies here, and then use it later. Where in that case, I could use one from the offer over here and use that in the same turn. But I don't think I need that right now. And I can only use, I think it's just a normal of a basic color. Basic means not yellow or black. So these ones are kind of the better ones. Planning, but it also lets you, it makes you go later, because the higher this number, the later you go. 1 goes first, 6 goes last. Planning at the end of each turn, if you have at least 2 cards in your hand before you draw as if your hand limit is 1 higher. So again, just keep 2 cards in your hand, and wounds actually count as part of your hand limit, part of your hand. Then you'll gain an extra 1. So our hand limit would be 6 in this case, because at the moment it's 5. That one's a good one. I like to start with that. Great Start is another great starting card, particularly for the beginning. If I don't like my hand of cards, or maybe I just need a little bit more oomph, this one's a good. You just draw 2 more cards, but you go pretty late. And then the right moment, one time this day during your turn, you can announce that you'll go again and then flip it over. Again, this is not really, maybe if I had like a really thick deck of cards, then maybe this would be a good way to get through them. Let's say the dummy player over here is getting through her cards, who is Wolfhawk, by the way. And we need, I'll talk about this here in a second. And then it's okay, but for the beginning, it's not great. I like to go with Planning or Great Start for the very first day turn. And I think because of this, I'm going to go with Planning so that I can make my hand limit 6 at the beginning, and I hope to level up to a point maybe soon in like the next day phase where maybe I can be drawing 6 regardless. So that would mean I'd have to get through this, past this level and down to 24 around the time of, we've got this day phase, a night phase, and then the next day phase. And we have 3 days and 3 nights for this particular scenario. So I'm going to take Planning. That's number 4. The other 5 cards get shuffled, and Wolfhawk, the dummy, will choose a random one. And then after the 2 cards that we chose, we can't use them in the future day phases. And there's another deck like this, but it's for the night turns. So she's going to take Right Moment. So that means we get to go first at 4, and she'll go at 6. So this one just gets removed, and I'll keep this one nearby so that it's a reminder to say, hey, if I have 2 or more cards in my hand, then I can draw a 6th card. Okay. So I'm going to take my turn, and then when it gets to Dummy's turn, I'll explain how she works. So for this particular hand, this is my hand of cards. I don't draw a 6th card now. This is only it says at the end of each turn do I do that. So I have to wait until next turn to get that 6th card, but I'm okay with that. What I'm going to do first is stamina move 4, and I'm going to do that by paying a mana die from the source, is what that's called, the mana source. Okay. And that's going to be, that's 4 movement. Well, to get through all of these planes, it costs 2 to get through. This is 3, that's 3, and going into these tiles or these hexes is also 3 if you want to end like picking up a crystal. So that's 4. That gets me either here or here, and then I can decide which way to go after that. You can play as many move cards as you want, and then when I want to, like if I get to a point where I don't want to move anymore and I want to make an attack, then I can do at that point. But I can't attack and then move. So right now is just the movement kind of phase. So that gets me up to here. I'm gonna come over here and make an attack against that. What kind of? I think he's an orc summoner. Yeah, orc summoner right there. So we're gonna go over there and make an attack. I need 3 more move points to get to here. I can challenge it from that hex from here. So I need 3 more move points. Well, I don't think I'll be able to make an attack this round because I'll need white, or I can use that yellow up there for this in order to make a range attack 3. So I'm going to spend this other stamina, that's 2 more movement, and then one of these swiftness for another 2 movement. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. And from here, I'll end my turn with the 2 cards left in my hand, which is perfect for planning. And then I can make that attack next round or figure out something else to do. Yeah. One thing to keep in mind about this magical glade out there is that if I end my turn there, I can heal 1, remove a wound from my hand, and gain a gold or yellow mana token. So there's 3 types of mana. There's mana die from the source. You can only use 1 per turn unless otherwise told. Mana tokens, which are used, they're usable during your turn, or I guess during your next turn in this case. At the end of our turn, we would gain this. So in the next turn, we lose this if we don't use it. And it works just like yellow. It's a bonus. We can use it for anything. At night, you would get a black mana token. And a crystal can only be of the basic colors, not black, not yellow, and it goes into your inventory. And these stay until you use them, but you can only have 3 of each color. Red, blue, green, and white. Okay, so we'll end our turn there. The die that I use from the source gets re-rolled. That's a black, so that is unusable until I can either find a way to re-roll it, or it just sits there for the rest of the time. So that's just spent for the rest of this day phase. These 3 cards will be discarded. These 3 cards are discarded, making my discard pile there. And then I draw, let's see, 1, 2, 3, which gets me up to my hand limit. But because of planning, I get 1 more card to my hand, so that makes it 4 drawn cards. We'll get to what those are for the next turn. So now we come over to the dummy player. I haven't set it up on purpose. I want to show how it works now. But basically these 3 little dots here at the bottom show how many crystals of which color they get in their inventory. So that's 2 white and a blue. Let's grab those real quick. And we'll put those into her inventory. And what this is kind of like a counter. what we do on the dummy's turn is flip 3 cards. So 1, 2, 3. And because we landed on a white, there's 2 crystals here. We have to draw 2 more. 1, 2. And then it's it. If we landed on blue or white, if we landed on blue, in this case, if that was the 3rd card, then we would only draw 1 card. So we draw an additional number of cards equal to the number of crystals of that color. And then it's done. If it had a red crystal in here, we don't draw another card until it's done. No. You just draw 3 cards and then an extra amount of this, and then it's over. In this case, if this was the 3rd card, then it doesn't have any red crystals. Okay, then we don't have to draw any more. So that's the timer. Pretty ingenious, honestly. It's very clean. That's the whole timer. When this runs out, when it gets to the dummy's turn and she doesn't have any cards in her draw pile anymore, then she will declare end of round, and then we'll have 1 more turn to go, and then it's the end of the turn. Pretty simple mechanic, and it works really well. Okay, so let's see what these next cards are. We still have our battle versatility and swiftness. We have improvisation, so we discard a card from our hand to get move 3. So we play this, and let's say we play March. Now these 2 cards give move 3, influence 3, attack 3, or block 3. With red, it makes it 5s. This is a pretty good card, and for some reason I don't like it all that much, but it is a good card. It basically gives you a 3 or a 5 on anything that you want to do, other than, it says just attack, so it's not ranged attack or siege attack. It's just a normal attack. But another thing that you can do with these cards is play them sideways. You can play any card that has this back on it sideways, except for wounds, unless otherwise said. And you can get a 1 move, influence, attack, or block. So I could play this card sideways as is, and it is now just a move 1 or whatever you want it to be. That's kind of what it's doing. Is this is like a 2, but you have to get rid of it, get rid of another card, and say you play it sideways. So in that case, I'm discarding an extra card to make it a 3 or a 5. March is just like stamina, move 2 or move 4, but it's green. Crystallize, when you play this, also pay 1 mana of a basic color of any kind. It can come from a crystal. It can come, well, that would be stupid. You'll see here in a minute, but it could be a token that you have up here, or it could be from the mana source up there in the die form. But it says a basic color. You can play a yellow and say it's blue, for instance. Then you just declare that it's blue, and then you gain a crystal of that color to your inventory. So you take a mana token or a die from the source and turn it into a crystal that you can use in any future turn. Or you pay blue, gain a crystal of any color to your inventory. A crystal of any basic color. I feel like they should have said basic. You can never gain a yellow or black crystal. But in this case, let's say there's a blue, but you don't want a blue. You need red, and there's no red tokens or mana from the source. Then you pay the blue, and you can gain red. Determination is attack or block 2, or pay blue to gain block 5, and then back to battle versatility. So now that we're here, I can do a couple things. I can move, let's say, to here. If you move from an adjacent hex to a rampaging enemy, again, that's orcs, or the red ones are dragons or draconum, I think is what they call them. If you move from an adjacent to another adjacent, from adjacent to the same enemy, then it will attack you. So if I moved here, my move phase is over and it attacks me. So I can't move here and do something else and then make an attack. I could come out to here, move back up to here, and then it's okay. It's not rampaged anymore. But by moving up there, I would be ending my turn, and then maybe I can gain that yellow mana token for the next round. I might do that. I'm going to see how much movement I have, but I am going to make that attack, and because I have that yellow out there, I think now is a good time to do it. So we're going to put these two cards to the side. This is a range attack 3, and that's a range attack 1. And up here, it says 4. That's the amount of damage we need to deal to it to kill it. Now we can't deal 1 and then later deal 3. No, you have to do 4 or more in order to kill it all at once. Over here is its attack value, but in this case, this is a summoner, so it's going to summon a different enemy, and then he would get the attack from that enemy token instead of his own, which he doesn't have one at all. But and if we do kill it, we gain 4 experience or fame up in that corner. So we definitely want to do that because that will level us up immediately. I think I'm going to use this determination with improvisation here. We're going to use improvisation for a move of 3 with determination. That's going to be a move of 3. That puts us here so that I can use that in the next round. That means my movement's over and this attacks me. So we'll just pull this down here. Let's get zoomed in. So now I have to fight this guy. He's now rampaged. How combat works is there's a range and siege phase, then the block phase, and then the attack phase. Well, and then we take wounds, whatever, if necessary, and then we make an attack. And if it's dead, then we gain the fame. And if it's not dead, then we have to make 4 or more attack in order to kill it. If we don't have that, then combat is over and something else happens depending on where you are on the map. But as I've already said, we've got a plan here. So now what I do for this attack is I play this card. There is going to be glare. I do sleeve these cards because I've played this game so often. This gives me a range attack 1. Okay, so now I'm at 1. Then I play this one, paying with the yellow for range attack 3. So that's 3, 4, and that's enough to kill it immediately. I don't have to go into a block phase, and I don't have to take any wounds if I can't block it. So now it is dead. Great. These 2 cards will go up here because I've played them. I'll put that there just as a reminder. I have to roll it later. Now it goes into, I take the fame. So up here, I take 4 fame, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because I've passed this or dropped down to its level, I gain a card from the advanced action offer. And I also gain a skill token. So one more thing. Because it's a rampaging orc, I gain 1 reputation. If it was a Draconum, I would gain 2 reputation, but I've only gained 1. So now let's take a look at these, and I'm going to pull 2 tokens from my skill offer over there. And each of these tokens come with a rule. This is just kind of an easy reminder of what it is, but there's a card that explains what that does for each character. So I'm going to pull hers up really quickly. I can just pull that right out of my book, and that's her card. All right. So this bottom one here matches this. It says Burning Power. Once a turn, siege attack 1 or fire siege attack 1. So I can use it as just a normal siege or a fire siege. Well, I kind of see something here that I like in pairing with this one, Crushing Bolt, is we can gain a green crystal to our inventory, or pay green mana for siege attack 3. So this plus this would be a fire siege 1 with a siege 3, or which would be 4 siege basically, or just 4 siege. This other one, however, is really good, and I have a hard time passing it up. It's called Polarization. Once a turn, you can use 1 mana as a mana of an opposite color. So in this case, red would turn into blue, green into white, yellow into black. During the day, you could use a black as any color other than black, not to power stronger effective spells though. So we still can't use it during the day to power this up, unless we're told we could. You can say that about basically every rule. You can or can't do it unless you're told you can. At night, you can use gold mana as black to power the stronger effective spell, but not as any other color. So basically, yellow at night turns into black, and black during the day turns into yellow. You're still following the same rules, but it's really good because in this case, we've got that black up there. We could turn that into gold now once per turn, so we can use this over and over again. If it had this icon on it, the little arrow, that means we'd have to flip it over and it's used once a round instead of once a turn. So this is usable every turn. It's pretty helpful because this we can use as green, or we can use it as white. So every color up there, you basically have 2 different colors. That's really hard for me to pass up. It's like nearly impossible for me to pass up. This siege plus the Crushing Bolt though, that's a siege of 4, and that could be helpful pretty quickly as well. I'm going to take those. So I'm taking Crushing Bolt. I'm going to just force myself to not take Polarization. Crushing Bolt and that. So now this slides down, and we get to see what the next one is, and that's Into the Heat, which is a pretty good one if you have a lot of units. So this will go right into our play area, and we can use this every turn. And the card, the advanced action card we just got, goes face down on top of our draw pile, so we immediately draw it for our next turn, which is pretty sweet. We have 2 cards left in our hand. But now combat is over. Combat's done. We go into the next, the end kind of here. We can't move because you can only move and then attack. In this case, we moved, we did attack, but we can't move again, or we can't attack and then move. So this one is, we could play sideways for 0 things. We can play this because it has this icon, meaning like use at any time. Do we want to do something with it? And the answer is no. There's nothing we can do with it. So we're just going to put these down. That's and call the end of the round. Something to keep in mind here. The one that we didn't choose, goes into the actual offer, but face down. We cannot choose that ever again. And then we get one of these. This one goes into the offer, and we can choose this or one of the two that we draw when we level up again. This one's interesting. We can either remove or reduce by 1 during the block phase, or add 2 to their attack and then reduce their health by 2. So we wouldn't be able to use this during the ranged attack phase to make them weaker. No, during the block phase, we get to reduce their attack by 1 or increase it by 2 and then decrease their health by 2. So maybe we have a lot of block and not a lot of attack. That would be a good one to do. Let's see what it's called. It's called Taunt. Okay. So that one is available for every time from now on when we level up, and we can choose one. Okay. We use that die. So this one gets rolled. That's a blue. Goes up into the source. These 4 cards get discarded, and then we get to draw. This is the one we just got. Remember, Crushing Bolt. So 1, 2, 3 brings us up to our limit of 5, but because of planning, we can bring in 1 more card. That's it. That's basically the game, right? We do this over and over for the day until she says or we say it's the end of the round, and then we move on to the night, and we do that 3 times. Day, night, day, night, day, night, and every time we switch from day to night or vice versa, these offers. This one gets refreshed. This one gets refreshed just by we take this one and discard it, and then slide the others down. Do the same to the spells. Shuffle both draw decks for the dummy player and then for myself, and yeah, that's it. It's a lot of rules, but once you start playing, it's not really that bad. So 1, 2, 3 for dummy. It is red. There's no red crystals, so she's done pulling cards. Back to us. You might be wondering, well, how do we expand this map? That's the whole map? No, of course not. We have all of these that we have to kind of get through. 2 of the last 4 are cities, and we have to conquer both of these cities in order to beat this scenario. We have to get through all of these ones, however, first, in order to find the cities. Basically, we've come to, this is called Atlantean. We've come here through a portal, and we have to prove ourselves to our king. I think is the story. It's kind of a lame story, to be honest, but it's a fantastic game. Okay, so we have our Crushing Bolt. We already know what that does. Concentration. Gain a blue, white, or red mana token. Again, so we could play this card and then gain either blue, white, or red, not green, blue, white, or red, and that has to be played immediately. We can't save it for the next round, but we could, let's say, use that for Crystallize, and then we put that token into our crystal inventory. That is an option. Or we can play green for an ability, or for the strong effect, which is one of my favorite things of the basic actions. When you play this, play another action card with it. You get the stronger effect of that card for free. If that effect gives you move, influence, block, or any type of attack get that amount +2. So a fire siege attack, for instance, becomes like a fire siege attack 3 becomes 5, and all we had to do was pay green for the strong ability, the strong effect of this card. We get the other one for free, +2. Really good. Promise, influence 2 or 4. These influences are, I had discussed before, we can use influence to, for instance, hire from the offer. There's a few other things that we can do, but they're not on the map yet. We'll discuss that when it comes up. So we could concentrate on our promise, making it influence 6, for instance. Or concentrate on our rage to make it attack 6. Rage, attack or block 2, attack 4, and then we're back to march and crystallize. Because I ended my turn here, I always forget this, but I remember when I start to move the next turn. Because I ended my turn there, I get a gold mana token for free that I can use in the coming turn. So I'm thinking, because I've got some movement and I have some influence, what I should do here is use those to maybe move into this town and pick up a unit. So I'm going to use March, and all I have to do is move 2 to get into that town, but I'm going to make it move 4. You'll see here in a second. Move 4, I'm going to pay with the green die from the source. And now I can move here. And then for move 2, you can reveal another tile. So the tiles have to face a certain way, and I can't go beyond this edge or this edge. I have to stay, that's kind of this triangle kind of formation here. It will go right there, okay? So we flip this one over. This one's got a lot of stuff on it. A lot of stuff, wow. And you'll see that in the bottom, in this corner here, it says a number. That's just the number of the tile. And then it has like a circle, a piece of a circle. This one has a piece of a star. And that one goes right there so that it completes the circle. And over here, you can see that there's 2 pieces of a star. Another one would go there where you line up the star here. Same in this corner there. So this means that it's you know, all the buildings are facing the same direction. Everything is looking, you know, these match and everything looks similar, right? This is bringing in a few things. So we'll go over these piece by piece real quick. First, another rampaging orc. So let's flip that over. This is a maze, and how it works is you step into it, and then you spend a number of movement points, either 2, 4, or 6. You can't walk in and then continue moving. You have to move in and then explore the maze, basically. So you move in with 2 movement points because it is in the a plains hex. And then you can spend another 2, 4, or 6. And depending on the length, you'll get a reward. The number of move points determines how high the reward is. I'll flip to that page real quick here. So a maze, this is the card here. But if we just spend 2, then we gain 2 random crystals. If we spend 4, we gain a spell from the spell offer. We can choose which one we want. If we spend 6 movement points, then the potential reward is an artifact, which comes from here, in which case you draw 2 and choose from one of those. Choose one of those. You pay the movement points, 2, 4, or 6. It could be 3, but then you have to do this one, you know. And then you pull this type of monster, which these ones are typically, they're harder. than these rampaging orcs. And you can only bring one unit with you. Well, in this fact, we don't have any, so that's not an option for us. But we can only pull one unit in to help us in this case. We fight that. If we win, then we get this. We get the level of reward that we chose at the beginning. And if we lose, well, we just sit outside and we try again next time. If we want, if we have the movement points. And typically, I really like these. Even just the +2 to gain 2 random crystals is pretty sweet, in my opinion. Let's see. This is like a, what is this called? A refugee camp. This came in one of those expansions. Where we can recruit from there, but it can be more expensive. This is a swamp. These are mountains. We cannot move through mountains unless we are told we can. That's a swamp that has a particular cost of 5 day or night, so it's pretty horrible to move through. And this is a monastery. And the monastery is pretty cool. You can recruit certain types of units. And each unit has a little icon here. This means you only recruit the peasants in a town. This you can recruit only in a keep. And these scouts you can recruit from anywhere. All right. In this case, it has to have that icon in order to recruit it. So in this case, we could recruit the scouts there if we wanted. You can heal here. You can train, which is taking a card from here. You pay 6 influence. You can take one from there, and it goes face down into your draw deck. I think it doesn't say anything otherwise, so I assume that's what it is. Because this is, it's not coming from here, it's coming from the offer. So that's right, that's why it's more limited. So we draw a new action, advanced action card, and we put it in the offer. In this case, let's make a little bit more space here. In this case, it would go with the unit offer, and we can train picking up this one, Temporal Portal, and this one would go for 6 points influence. We can put it in our draw pile. You can also burn it. That's going to reduce your reputation by 3. Then you draw a violet enemy. You can't use any units because they're like, screw that, I don't want to do that. And if you win, you gain an artifact. So if you don't care about hiring, or maybe you've reached your limit, or you don't want to hire anymore again, then you don't care about it, then this is a really good thing to do. The one bad thing about it is that you can't use that monastery ever again. Future ones can show up and you can use those. And this card would basically, we wouldn't be able to do anything with it. We wouldn't be able to train because now we have nowhere to train. If another one shows up, then we can put it here. But in this case, in the future, when this refreshes at the end of a day or night, this one's burned so that we wouldn't be able to add another card to this little offer down here. All right. And finally, walls. Add an additional move point to cross them. And we can move adjacent to, in this case, we could go from here to here, and it won't rampage, it won't attack us because it's behind the walls. But if we moved from here to here, there's no walls here, then it would rampage. So another thing, during combat, you can't use ranged attacks. You would have to use siege attacks in that case during the ranged siege phase. Again, it's a lot of rules, and I'm kind of going through them as they pop up instead of just explaining it at the time. But it's also it's not necessary to know all of this as when you first start to play. Just pop this down and start to play, and they have a really good intro scenario for you. Okay, where it just shows you how to play as you're playing. Okay, now we're in a town. I've used my move 4. I could continue moving just by playing cards sideways, for instance. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is stay right where I am. I'm going to use Promise. With an influence of 4, I'll use that gold for influence 4, and I'll pick up these peasants. They would give me, you can only use them once per day or night, but an attack or block of 2, influence of 2, or move of 2. And that one goes right there. We can also use them to take a hit. So we put like a wound on top of them, and then we can't use them because now they're damaged. But when we're done, when we use them, we put our command token on top, and we can't use them for the rest of the round, day or night. Then at the end, they come back. When they do take a hit, they can kind of soak up 3, and we'll get into what that means later. Then they put a wound on them if they've taken up to 3 hits, kind of like an attack of 4. They take 3, and then there's 1 left that we'd have to contend with. But in this case, they hit for, or they take that wound, and then because they're a level 1 unit, then it costs heal 1 in order to remove that. If it was a level 2 unit, like these shock troops, then we'd have to pay heal 2 to remove 1 wound from it. There's up to 4. There's 3s and 4s in the gold pile. Okay, so now I've gotten to this point here. What else can I do? Well, honestly, not much. Yeah, not much. So I'm going to stay. I can't move now because I've done my movement and then my 1 interaction kind of, like I can perform 1 action after moving. I can't influence and fight in the same turn. So no, we'll save this for another time. I could do something like make a mana token with this, with concentration, and then crystallize it into my inventory. I could use this to just gain a green crystal to my inventory. But I have a lot less cards than the dummy does, so I'm going to stop here and use these in the future. That's the end of my turn, so this goes back to over there. This gets re-rolled. We now have a white. These 2 get discarded. Those should be face up. I don't know why I put those face down. And then we draw 1 plus 1 because of planning again. All right, back to dummy. Dummy goes 1, 2, 3. White. Okay, so that's 2 crystals there, 2 more cards. 1, 2. Again, it's blue. It has a crystal here, but that doesn't matter anymore. All right. And something else to keep in mind. This does not get refreshed in the same way as this. This gets totally refreshed. All these cards get discarded at the end of the night or day phase, and then 3 more cards pop out here. But this number has, because it's 1 player, just me playing by myself, then it's 2 cards plus the number of players. So if we were playing a 2-player game, it would be 2 plus 2, 4 cards in the offer. All right. So I kind of, what are my goals? What are my short-term goals here? I kind of want to come over here and maybe lay siege to that keep, because we gain, by winning a siege against a keep, every keep that we own, if we are standing in it, then we get that number of cards to our hand or adjacent. So if we start a turn adjacent to a keep that we own, and we have 2 keeps that we've taken, then we would increase our hand by 2. So these are really nice for future. So here's the 2 cards that we just got. Threaten, that's more influence. Reputation -1 if we go for the higher one, but it's an influence of 5. So we can threaten them to join us, or we can use this for like healing, and there's a couple other things we can do, right? Tranquility, heal 1 or draw a card, heal 2 or draw 2 cards. So I'm thinking let's move over to that keep now. Well, here, I'm going to use Tranquility and Threaten as a move of 2. That's pretty rough. But in my discard pile, I have 1 March, 2 Staminas, both of my Swiftness are in there. Even my Improvisation is in there. So I don't have a lot more movement. I have 1 more March in here. So let's try and find that one. Well, I only have 2 more cards left, so I'm playing 2 cards now. So maybe do I go here and maybe attack this and use that movement for there, or do I go here to try and move into this hex later in the next round? But that costs 3 movement to get into the next round. I kind of want to play Concentration with Crushing Bolt, but I don't have a green in the source. I have a white and a blue. So what I could do is take the blue and make it green so that I can use that later. Or I could make this like an attack of 6 if I don't have enough for a siege attack there. For keeps, this is a fortified location, and so there's another couple other places like cities, for instance, and mage towers where you cannot make your initial ranged attack. It has to be siege only. And then you can use range attack during the attack phase, but you can't use it during the range siege phase. So I think I like that idea. Let's move here. And now that we're standing adjacent to it, we can flip it over and reveal that it is Heroes, I think is what that one's called. Heroes. And what that does is, first of all, let's go through what all these are, all these icons here. It has 5 health. It has 2 attacks, a physical 3 and a physical 2. So we would have to block 3 and then block 2 in order to not take those hits. You can't partially block, you have to fully block the attack. So with 2 different blocks, we'd have to make a block 3 and then a block 2. You can't make block 5 to block both of them. If we win, then we gain 5 fame, which is pretty huge. But we also lose a reputation because they are heroes in this land. We're not a hero. We're not necessarily good or bad, but for attacking a keep with heroes in it, we lose a reputation. For attacking any fortified location at all, you also lose a reputation. So in this case, for winning this, we would lose 2 reputation. And finally, this one icon on the end here it means it's swift. So in order to block a 3 attack, we would need 6 block. So not only do we need to block 2 different attacks, we need to block double their values, so 6 and 4. Or if we can come up with siege 5, then we don't have to worry about that at all, which we can with concentrating our crushing bolt. That would be a siege attack of 3 plus 2 is 5. Again, we also have that, but that would only make it a siege 4. So if it was a 6, then this would come in handy there. We can use this obviously for a range attack or a normal attack during those phases, but it's particularly good as a siege. So we're now revealed, but I have no way of moving into that hex as of right now. And even if I did, I don't have a green token or crystal in order to make this siege attack. So I'm going to do this, crystallize with blue, and I'm going to gain a green mana crystal. So for the next turn, I have a way to get in here and make a siege attack. Right. But I am going to need move 3 to get in, so probably use rage sideways with that other one. So that's my turn. This gets re-rolled. It's now red. It would have been nice if it was green, because then I could save that crystal for later. These are discarded. I did it again, didn't I? Yeah, I keep flipping this over. And then I draw up to 6, 5, because of that's the number I can have. That's my hand limit, and then +1 for planning, right? I only have 2 in there, so it doesn't matter. Ah, that's right. I have my peasants. They have a good move too there, so I don't have to like put something sideways, or maybe I can use it to reveal another tile later. So 1, 2, 3. In the future, what I'll end up doing is just draw 3, show what the third one is, or maybe just show them over here so I don't have to keep picking it up. In this case, it's white, so I draw 2 more cards. There's no more cards to draw. Okay, that's its turn. So back to my turn. But before I move on, this means in the next turn, she's going to say it's the end of the round. It's the end of the day cycle. So I get this turn and the next, and then it's over. So we already know one of the cards is March. Move 2, move 4. And then this is her other special card, kind of, the one that she comes with, and it's called Mana Pool. You can use 1 additional mana die from the source this turn. If the die is black, use it to produce mana of any color. So this goes against the rules. We can use that black die up here and say it's whatever we want it to be. And we can use it to produce, we can use it for, we can use a second die. Or we pay white and we take 2 mana dice from the source and set them to any color except for gold. Gain a mana token of each of these colors and don't re-roll it when we return to the source. So in this case, this is a good way. Let me show you what we can do with that. We can pay white. Then we take the black and the red, we set it to whatever we want them to be. This being at the beginning, at the end of this day cycle is the worst time to pull it, because now I can really set myself up for the next round. I would gain, let's say I want it to be green and green, let's say. I have 2 green cards in my hand, and I want to use them in the next round. Well, I also gain 2 green tokens for this round too. So 2 green ones, and then I put these into the 2 green dice back into the source. I don't need it. Yeah, I don't need it this time. So I'm not even going to use this. And instead, I'm going to use it for that top ability. Yes, I'm going to use it for that top ability. You'll see what I'm going to do here in a minute. And I can use it at any time, either during the move, the combat phase, or after, and then march. So I need, let's see here. I guess I don't need it. No, I don't. But what I can do is say, let's use Mana Pool. Okay. I'm going to use black as a green. So we make it green. Let's now put it up. Let's keep it here. I can use this green. I could also use the white or the red up here. I don't think I need either of them. But now it changes to green. I needed a green. I can use March 2, okay, and my March 2 from the peasants. That gives me move 4, sorry, move 4. So move 2 for the peasants. Now I have move 4, perfect. Look at this, now I don't even need to use this one at all. Now that I'm here, I'm besieging this keep, so that means I immediately lose 1 reputation. That's up there, remember? That goes down to the neutral still. We're still at 0. And then we go into the battle. So we'll kind of clean up here. These are still in my hand, but that glare is pretty rough. Okay. I'm gonna switch that up actually. I'm not going to use my peasants. I'm going to use the March 2, and I'm going to put Rage on its side, and I'll save these peasants. Yep. Now, if I had not revealed this yet, if it was on its backside, then, and I reveal it, I'm locked in with whatever I've done before that. Because it's revealed, I can kind of switch things around and deal with the puzzle in a different way. And I'm going to do it this way. So now I have to make the attack here. And I'm going to use concentration on Crushing Bolt, which gives me, using green from here, which gives me this effect for free +2. So siege attack 3, any type of siege +2 is 5, and I needed siege 5 to kill it before it made that attack. So bam, that guy's dead. We lose another reputation, and then we gain 5 fame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts us at 9, which means we gain another command token. So this one gets flipped over, goes over here, and it reveals this one. So we've gone from a 2 armor, 5 hand limit to 3 armor, 5 hand limit. And that increases later to 3 and 6, which is where I'd like to be in the next day turn. That guy's dead now. I'd now take one of my little iron control markers, I guess, and put it, and put it on that keep to say that I own that one now. You don't put that on any of the rampaging orc spaces. It's that's gone. I guess I could. I guess you do, but I don't really keep points. That's a way of keeping points. I don't really care about points. I just like either winning or losing. So I'll put it there for now, and we can look at points later just to so you get an idea. But okay, so we now own that keep. Now my hand limit is +1 if I start my turn in or adjacent to a keep that I own. If I own 2 and I'm adjacent to one of them, then it's +2. So these keeps are very strong. I like to put them somewhere nearby, actually, so I know. That's those 2 cards. These are all done. Okay. Those all go into the discard. I cannot draw any more cards, but I do still have an ability here on my units. And I think I can still use it even if I don't have any cards in my hand. I will roll that. That's a white. That goes back up into the offer. So because I don't have any cards in my hand, when it comes back to me, and let's say the dummy hasn't declared the end of the round yet, I would have to declare end of round. But that's not the case because we go over to the dummy. She now says, hey, it's the end of round because she can't draw any cards. If she just had 1 card here, she'd flip it over and then it wouldn't be declared yet. Now it comes back to me. I can use these peasants now to move 2. Well, I don't really move 2. I just reveal another tile here. Bam. I'm getting all these easy tiles. This is tile number 1, 2, and 3. That one's 12. Okay, that one's a little bit more chaotic, but yeah, I was hoping for some like a little bit of a challenge here. But okay, we see another one of these rampaging orcs. So we'll flip one of these onto there. This is one from the Tesla expansion where well, it has another icon here. This means it's resistant to fire attacks. So we can't use fire attacks. Well, we can, but it has to be double. So we'd have to attack at 8. Physical attack of 3. We would get 1 fame, and this icon means that we can... Oh, whoops. This one here means it's resistant to fire. There's also ice. There's also fire and ice attacks, which if we see those, I'll get into it. And this means that we would pull a token as part of our reward from a pile up here. There's 2 kind of factions. There's like the baddies and the goodies. I don't know what their names are. And those have extra one-time use abilities, kind of a thing. So, well, that goes there. They're pretty simple to attack. Their simplicity or complexity is basically how much do you gain from it. In this case, 1, so it's pretty easy to kill. Okay, that's the end of my turn. She's already declared end of round, so that's the end of the day phase. Pretty easy, right? I mean, there's like a bunch of these tiny little rules. This just gets thrown away. There's a lot of tiny little rules that you have to keep in mind, and the rule book is okay, but it is a lot of text. A lot of text. 3 columns with a pretty tiny font. And then it goes up to page, let's see, 24. A useful aid back here. I mean, there's some pages of scenarios too. So scenario starts at 14. So only really, honestly, 13 pages of text, but pretty tiny stuff here. But it is a fantastic game. I gotta say, it's a fantastic game. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the day phase. We do a little bit of cleanup like this, and this gets shuffled. This gets shuffled. We do something here where she will gain a crystal that matches the color of this first spell. That would be white. That's not so great. So we throw. There's the white. She can gain as many crystals of the same color. It doesn't just stop when she gets 3. No. And the worst part is that the next 2 are also white. So that means when she draws a white on the 3rd, she's going to draw 3 more cards. If we put a 4th there, 4 more cards. That gets rough. A green. That's nice. This one goes into her deck. It's a blue. That's not so bad. And then we draw another one. Force of nature. Okay. These go away, and we draw 3 more. 1, 2, 3. This from the monastery, right? That goes away, and we draw a new one for that. Okay, peaceful moment. These get re-rolled. A black, a blue, and a green, and that gets flipped to show that it is now night. And then we'll be drawing initiative cards from the night deck here with the black background on them. Yeah, and that's it. That's it, I think. So I'm going to do some shuffling, and then we'll start in on the night phase. All right, so night 1 is set up. All I need to do is draw some cards and then choose my initiative. And these are what have come in, we have Force of Nature, which actually looks like a pretty decent one for me because it has a siege attack 3. Of course, the problem with this is another green. I do have one green crystal in my inventory, so it might be a good one to look at in the future if I can continue getting some green crystals in my inventory. Siege is a very good thing when we're attacking those fortified locations, such as the 2 cities at the end. So, yeah, these are the dice that we're going in with. We've got a blue, a green, and a black. We've got Guardian Golems, Utem Crossbowmen, and another Utem Crossbowman. These are one of my favorites for this silver deck because they come with some range attack. Obviously, it kind of shows my play style is I really like the ranged attack because then I don't have to worry about blocking or taking any wounds. We finally have a green, yeah, another green. Whoa. Spell up here called Tremor and Earthquake. These ones are pretty good. Okay. So, and Peaceful Moment for the one that we can train with, the advanced action we can train at the monastery. All right. We still have our peasants. They're in good shape for now. We'll draw 5 cards up to that limit, but because we're in or adjacent to a keep that we own, then we can draw +1 keeps, which is 1. So we'll draw 5, 6 cards, and now let's take a look at these before I decide which initiative, which number we're going to go with here. Stamina, Rage, all right. I see another, here's March. Threaten for some more influence. Now we're in a keep. We could go for one of those Utem crossbowmen. Both of them cost 6. So if I played this one for its major action or effect, then we just play one other card sideways, and that gives us 6. Of course, we lose a reputation with that, but we're getting some pretty decent unit there. They also have 4 health, which is really good too. Guardian Golems we can also pick up here, but they cost 7. This castle icon matches that of the icon for the keep, so that's where all of these have that icon. Okay attack and block, it's kind of just like normal, but they do have some good fire and ice block if we consume or if we use a mana of some kind. But they also have resistance to physical attacks, meaning if they take an attack of 3 or less, then they soak it all up. If they took an attack of 4, 5, or 6, then the first 3 is soaked up, and then they only take 1 wound. So this one's a really good one for physical attack resistance, but I tend to go for these Utem crossbowmen. Right, we're still looking at our cards. So this might be a good opportunity to stick around and see about. We can even use our peasants. Our peasants give us 2 influence. So maybe we use this for the major effect if I could. It doesn't look like I can at the moment. There's no red. I don't have red over here, and there's no red up there. So let me keep looking at our cards here, though. We have Swiftness for some ranged attack and movement. And then Monopole. There's where we could get red. We could use black to produce any mana of any color, and that could be used in a second die. So we can use green and then black. Yeah, we're not going to really be able to, though, because there's no way to really, like we could use green or blue for the movement and then use black as a red and move somewhere so that we can pick up, like we could head to a town, for instance, and still pick up those Utem crossbowmen. But let's choose an initiative, and then we'll figure out how we're going to play this round. One from the dusk, just to go first. Not a good thing for the first night playing solo. Definitely not a good one. Long night. One time this night, if your deed deck is empty, so as soon as this deck, all these cards that have this as a back, that's called a deed card, or maybe just a deed. But if it's empty, you shuffle your discard pile, draw 3 at random, and put them into your deed deck. Then flip this over. Right. So if for instance, we're able to use a lot of cards every turn, and we know we're going to be beating the dummy and still get an extra round, that would be a good way to do it. It's a good one, but there's a couple other good ones. Mana Search, I tend to really like, particularly for that first night, because once per turn before you use mana from the source, you may reroll up to 2 mana dice in the source. When choosing to reroll, you must pick gold if it's dice first, if there are any. Well, for solo, that totally makes sense. For a multiplayer, it kind of forces you. So in this case, I could choose this one, and before I spend anything from the source, I could say, well, I'm not going to be using black, and I'm not going to use blue. So I can reuse or re-roll those and hope for something that I could use, while also leaving one, let's say green, behind just in case I don't get what I want. So I really do like that one. Midnight Meditation. One time this night before any of your turns, you may shuffle up to 5 cards from your hand into your deed deck and then draw that many. Yeah, this is good if you have wounds. Maybe you draw a bunch of wounds for the first round and you're like, nah, I don't like that. Or you have a bunch of wounds in your hand from a fight, well, you can shuffle those into this pile and hope to pick them up later. Probably going to pass on that because I kind of like the cards that we have. Preparation, search your deck for any card and put it in your hand, then shuffle the deck. Really good for, let's say I wanted to make a siege right now, or maybe in the next turn, I could get that card with siege. Was it Siege 4 or Siege 3? I think it was 3. I think I used it for this. So it might have been 4. I don't remember. If I wanted to, I could use this, grab that, put it in my hand. I also would start with 7 cards in my hand instead of the 6. So this is a really good one if I know exactly what I'm going to be doing right away. Probably not that one. Sparing Power. Once before the start of each of your turns, we can either put a card, draw a card from the deed deck and put it face down under this card, or flip this card over just to take all of the cards from under this and put it into my hand. This one's really good for that last night when you need to make a big attack for that last city. For like, you can go in with like 10 cards because you've been shoving them underneath this every round, waiting for that one particular card, or then it's in this pile and you can have like 3, 4, 5 extra cards in your hand for that last assault. So I'm going to take Mana Search for what I've been talking about. I'm not going to be using black unless I want to use it for Monopole, but at this time I could re-roll 2 or just 1. It could be 1 or 2, and figure out something new. If I don't have what I want in the source, I can maybe try and get it. So we're going to choose number 3, and then we shuffle these up, and dummy gets the other one, and we don't get those 2 for the rest of the game. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but typically in a multiplayer game, which I've never played this multiplayer and I would like to, it's just such a long game, and you really have to play with somebody that knows. I feel like teaching somebody this game would take quite an effort. But all 6 of these cards would stay for multiplayer every round. In a solo game where you have this kind of dummy over here, then you choose one, they choose one, and both of them are unusable for the rest of the game. So let's see here. That one, maybe? Number 4. Okay. So we go first, and we can't use this one later, so that just gets thrown away. We go first at number 3. I'm just going to put this right kind of behind the camera for now, and I'll pull it up from time to time just as a reminder. So, yeah. So we're going to go first. Great. What do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish this night? Well, something we could do is let's probably recruit right away. Do I want to use these, or do I want to maybe run up to the monastery, have a fight? I could do something like that. I could go to this town to maybe reveal another tile up here while also picking up some crossbowmen. I think it's pretty obvious we're going to go take on these. What are these called? These are called, well, pretty simple, skeletal warriors. So we definitely want to take them on. We probably want to take this guy on. He's swift, so remember, if we want to block that, then we'd have to come up with 6, double that amount, and that would remove that attack 3. If we don't block it, it's still an attack 3. It doesn't become an attack 6. It just means that we have to come up with attacks or block 6 to block a 3. Yeah, so I think we want to kind of head in that direction then. Maybe we go over here. I don't really want to spend too much time in this forest because if you remember, it costs 5 to move in a forest tile or hex in the dark at night. So maybe we move 1 and then move over here, and then we'll have to fight them. I think because we're here, let's do a let's use influence. All right. Now we need red. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my mana search right now, and I'm going to leave the black and use both of the green and the blue. And this is probably not a good idea because I have March and Stamina, and I would need those to get through. But because I have Monopole, that black can be green or blue as well. So white and the dreaded gold. So I have to re-roll with Mana Search. I have to re-roll that gold, which is not a bad idea because I don't really want gold up there because at night it's useless. However, Monopole has a white major or strong effect. Take 2 mana dice from the source and set them to any color except gold. Gain a mana token for each of these colors. Do not re-roll these dice when you return them to the source. So maybe I use that white right now so that I can re-roll it again. I put the black and the gold to, like, let's say red, and it could be either like green or blue because I do want these movements. I was just hoping for a red and then I could maybe re-roll again in the next round and potentially get green or blue again. But I think what I'm going to do is that we're going to play Monopole. I hope at this angle it's okay. I'm trying to get as much of this table as I can without holding the camera all the time. So Monopole, we're going to use the strong effect. I'm going to take both of those dice. One's going to be, let's make one green and the other one red. Now I gain a green and red mana tokens. These two go back up here, and I can use these. I have to use these this turn, and then they're lost. So I will use Threaten with the red to power that one up. And yeah, I'm going to use Rage Sideways to produce one more influence. That gives me influence 6, 5 from the strong effect of Threaten and 1 from Rage. That's going to give me these Utem crossbowmen. So they'll go right there. And that's it. Okay. Yep. So these 3 cards in my hand will stay down here in my hand. These, unfortunately, like they both go away now. We roll that white is a green. Okay. And these get discarded. Now, I know that's not like the best way to use Monopole, but it's still pretty early in the game. I'm not too worried about throwing such a powerful card away for what seems to be like a minor thing. But hey, I just picked up Utem Crossbowman. And of course, because of Threaten, we lose 1 reputation. So up here, now this drops 1 space. Now we always have -1 influence in the future, but I'm already maxed out, so maybe I don't need to worry about influence all that much right now. We can, of course, increase this by attacking these rampaging orc units. Even though these aren't orcs, you know, they're still rampaging units that that when you kill them, you gain 1 more reputation. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to lose reputation early on, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to lose reputation anyway. So okay, we're still in our keep, which means we draw up to 6 cards. We have 3, so 4, 5 plus the 1, and that's our turn. So we'll come over. I'm going to leave the camera there. We have 1 for the dummy, 2, 3. Man, for crying out loud. So we draw 3 more cards. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's their first turn. Pretty big turn for the dummy. Okay, so let's see what we're adding to our hand. We have battle versatility, good. Stamina, another move, and then swiftness, another move, and or range attack. So we definitely want to be hitting these guys, right? Let's try and find as much movement as I can to make it to the monastery. Once I'm in the monastery, we'll think of something we can do. But because we're moving from a hex adjacent to a rampaging enemy to another hex adjacent to the same rampaging enemy, it will attack us and end our movement phase. All right, so I've had kind of a think here, and how I'm going to plan this is I'm going to use Mana Search, and I'm going to roll these 2 greens because I have a green crystal. I don't necessarily need green anymore. And I've kind of put together the way I'm going to move out here. And if I can get blue, that would be great. If not, then it's okay. And I'm going to re-roll the 2 greens. You'll see, yeah, a red and a black. Okay, and that's fine. I just wanted to see if I could get a white. That's not going to be the case though. So we're going to use our green crystal for move 4 here. Then I'm going to use the peasants move 2 and a move 2 from stamina. So that gives us 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 move. We need a lot of move to get over to this monastery. So I'm going to do that. Let's go through the forest. That's 5. Plus the other 3 to get into those hills for that monastery. We're now at 8 movement points to get there. And because we've gone from an adjacent to another adjacent next to hexes, with this guy has become rampaged, so we cannot move anymore, and we have to fight him. It has a health or an armor of 4, so I have to come up with 4. Or I can come up with 3 block. So basically how this combat goes, just as a reminder, it goes ranged or siege, so we can use range and siege interchangeably if it's not in a fortified location, and it's not. Okay, if we don't do that, then it makes an attack at us for 3, and then we have to come up with block 3 or take a wound because our armor is 3. If it was 4, then we'd have to take 2 wounds, 5 2 wounds, 6 2 wounds, 7 would be 3 wounds because 3 plus 3 plus anything other plus like another 1. Well, 3 is 1 wound, 3 is another wound, and then that 1 is another wound. So we can soak up to 3 hits to take a wound. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a weird way to use combat, but it works out, honestly. So, and then we make an attack, and if we just use any attack at that point, 4. If we only had fire attack, we'd have to come up with 8 fire attack in order to kill this thing. I like to use range, so we're going to go for range first. And because we have red up in the source here, I'm going to use battle versatility for a range attack 3. All right? And then I'm going to use this for a siege attack 1, but 3 ranged and 1 siege equals 4 range and siege. So that is enough to kill it. Done. This can be either fire or physical. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to use physical because I don't want to have to bring in 2 extra. We just use the physical version of it. So there, done. It is now dead. We've only burned this 1 card to do that. So let's get that 1 fame up there. Doesn't do too much, but it also gives us this as per the icon down here. All right, and this is, ooh, I think this one's a pretty good one actually. This one is right here. It looks a little different. It took me a minute to figure out that that's what that one was. But it says, Ghostly Elixir, 1 attack on a single action card becomes a ranged attack. That's awesome. That's going to help us greatly in the future. Only range, not siege, range. That just goes kind of next to where the rest of our tokens, our little play area, and that goes away. All right, this crystal goes away. We roll that. It's another red. And these get discarded. Because, well, we can throw one of our little guys out there, I guess, to show that we've taken it. Because we killed a rampaging enemy, we gain 1 reputation. That puts us back to 0 up there. And let's see. Now we draw cards. Because we're far away from our keep, we're more than 1 away. We could be adjacent, right? We're 2 away from our keep, so we don't gain the benefit of it. We draw 2 cards to bring us up to our hand limit of 5. Cool. Dummy's turn. 1, 2, 3. It's red. It doesn't have any red crystals in its inventory. Their turn is done. Okay, so what did we pick up here? We've picked up improvisation and tranquility. Okay, well, from where we're standing, I was really hoping for a ranged attack, but that's not going to be the case. Sorry, a siege attack to get that, but okay, we're standing inside of a monastery. Let's remind ourselves what we can do in a monastery. We can recruit units with the monastery icon. That's that. Well, there are none up there, but we're at our limit anyway, so I'm not going to do that. We can heal 1 point of healing for 2 influence. And that's what all these icons, like 2 influence equals heal. Training is 6 influence to get the action card from the offer. Not up here, right? It's not these cards, it's this card here. This one's Peaceful Moment, which gives some influence. And if you do it with heal, then it's you may get heal 1 for each 2 influence. Okay, for just the normal action there. And this little icon up there, the A, means this has to be played as an action. If you perform let's say you start healing, well, that is the action. You can't play this, heal from it, and then do some other action like fight, or you couldn't use this after a fight, basically. So let's see, what else? Or we could make an attack on it. We would lose 3, like burning the monastery is what this is. We can't bring our units. We fight a violet, which is more kind of magical, magey, I guess. We would lose 3 reputation, and if victorious, we gain an artifact. The artifacts are amazing, but I don't know if that's necessarily something I want to do right away, particularly with this hand. Let's say I had a white crystal. There's some red up in the source, and I could maybe even use this, but yeah, it's not fortified either, so I could just use range attack if that's the case. But those are my options for what to do in a monastery. What we can also do is spend some movement to reveal another tile and then decide what we're going to do. Are we going to stay here, or are we going to maybe fight this rampaging orc? And before I do any of that, we're going to use Mana Search right now, and I'm going to re-roll one of those reds and that black. Give us an idea. Man, red and gold. This is just, we're stuck on red now, huh? Really wanted white. White would help me out pretty greatly, actually. You know, I think I have to go for this, though. Before I do anything, I'm going to use my stamina right now for that move 2. That's all I'm going to do. Just move 2, and I'm going to reveal a tile. Maybe this will give me another idea what to do. Whoops, just like that. And so we've got here, we got something else here. First, we've got that rampaging orc, so let's pull one from the bag. This goes up, face up. Those are accursed hags, I believe. Yes, cursed hags. And they have a poison attack, which means if you gain 1 wound from this, a second wound goes into your discard pile, so that poison kind of reveals itself later. Pretty cool mechanic. That one gives 3. It's pretty simple to take out. Make sure to block it so you don't get that extra damage. And then this is up here too. This one's pretty cool. This is a ruin. And because it's nighttime, we don't get to see what it is. So it's face down, but during the daytime it reveals itself. Or if you're in the hex, then it reveals itself. When revealed, place a yellow token face up during the day, face down at night. A face down token is revealed at the start of the next day, or if someone enters the space. So if we just go into the space, we can reveal it to see what it is. But basically it has a whole different, like a bunch of things that it can do. You can either just spend mana and gain some fame for it. Typically it's like, oh, spend 3 red mana of any combination, and you gain 7, or 3 white or 3 blue, yada yada. Or you fight like a couple enemies and then you gain some cool cards out of it. I think I want to fight it, but I'm having a hard time of trying to get. I can get 5 easily by using this. That would make it 6 range attack. And I've got a red up there. I think I'm going to burn this place down so I can get a cool artifact. So let's do that. Let's burn this to the ground. So in order to do that, we lose 3 reputation. Win or lose, we lose 3 reputation. So 1, 2, 3. So we're now at -2 influence. That's influence for interacting with the locals, I think is the way to say it. But for hiring, for healing, like in towns we can heal for an influence price. In monasteries, if we see another one in the future, in order to get this card, it would be -2. So we'd have to come up with 8. If we need a payment of 6 would mean 8. Okay, so then we pull a violet enemy out of this bag. Some of them can be pretty horrible. So let's see. Only a couple of them can be really bad, I think, but I think we can handle whatever this is. Let's go over to battle stations over here and we'll see. We can't use this guy either for taking damage, and we can't use his effects. These guys do not want to take part in this because this is their home. This is where they grew up and live, in this plane of existence, I guess. And I've got a way to heal if necessary. So let's see what it is. Okay, that's perfect. That's actually pretty simple. These ones are, I think they're just monks, which makes sense, total sense here, because they are at the monastery. Yep, they're monks. They have poisoning attack 5 with an attack of, or with an armor of 5. Well, we've already seen that I can do that. So we're going to play improvisation for attack for the stronger effect. So we pay with red, and then we play a card sideways. I'm going to play this one sideways because I don't see this, or not sideways, sorry, we discard it. So we just put that behind there. That costs, or that brings in attack 5. Well, we now make it attack, a ranged attack, and it's now dead. We've taken on those monks pretty easily, and we still have swiftness, so if we need some movement or range attack, we've got that. But we are in a really bad situation here when it comes to movement, because swamps have a movement of 5, 5, 5, 5. We can't go here, and in order to get through here, we have to first kill this guy, and a movement across walls is a +1. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to get in and out of this hex, and then over here is, I want to say that that's just 2. I don't think that's hills. It could be hills. It kind of looks like hills. We'll have to look at that. But in order to go this way, it's just as bad. So we're kind of screwed in that place. But hey, we just took on monks. We burned down a monastery, and we're getting something pretty decent out of it. First, let's gain that, well, very first, let's throw one of our armor or one of our tokens, character tokens on it, so it is now burned to the ground. We're stepping right on the ashes. We gain 4 fame out of it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That puts us at 14. We just need 1 more to level up again, and that would be ideal. This goes away, and we draw 2 cards from the artifact deck now, and we choose one of them. Ooh, the Shield of the Fallen Kings. Block 6 or 2 block 4 against different attacks. Really good, really good. How these work, however, is this one is the free one. And when you play it, you just discard it and that's it for the top ability. The bottom one is the strong effect. Cold Fire block 8 or up to 3 Cold Fire block 4 against different attacks. In order to use this bottom one, you throw it away, meaning it's removed from your deck forever. It just gets discarded underneath the artifacts deck. Shield of the Fallen Kings. If I'm not going for range, I'm going for shield, and this one is one of my favorites. Oh, buddy. Emerald Ring. Gain a green mana token and a green crystal to your inventory. Also gain fame 1. Green is good for those siege attacks, and if I want to get Force of Nature, then the Emerald Ring would be perfect for us. So we're taking this one. The bottom is you have an endless supply of green and black mana this turn, meaning we could be using the stronger effects of the spells, right? We could, maybe if we had 3 of these green spells, we could use the stronger effect, all of them, because we'd have endless green and black. Fame +1 for each green spell you cast this turn. So the Emerald Ring is, the stronger effect is really good if it's at night, first of all, because you can only do these at night or in dark places. But it's also really good for just doing the top ability too. So yeah, we're definitely taking the Emerald Ring because I'm going for so much siege and range attack at the moment. Shield is not going to be a major issue. Or incoming attacks, that is. So Emerald Ring it is. We'll take that. That goes face down on top of the top of our deed deck. This other one goes to the bottom of the artifacts deck. And basically, I want to say there's a way of manipulating that, maybe pulling from the bottom, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Probably wrong there. Okay, well, everyone in this place hates us now. They're willing to do business, but they hate us. And that'll do it for that round. This gets thrown away. There's another thing you can do with these, a couple other things actually. I want to say that you're able to increase the fame by 1. Instead of taking this, you can just take 1 more fame. Or while you're interacting with the locals, you can pass this in for a fame. I think that's another way of gaining it. But it's also worth 3 influence when you're interacting, either by healing at monasteries or hiring units. You can pass this in for another 3 influence. Pretty handy. It's kind of like saying, hey, I found this potion or this like scroll of something, and you give it to them and they're like, ooh. That's kind of the way I think about it. So Discarded. And we just need one more. I really want that force of nature. Okay, so we draw 3 more cards. 1, 2, 3. This gets rolled, and it is a blue. Those get all discarded. Blue, pretty good. Dummy's turn. 1. That's good. We are drawing a card, a white card, when it's not the third one. That's always a good way to do it. Blue is good to pull, and green. So we don't have to worry about pulling more cards for them. At the moment they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if this third card is white, then we're in trouble. If it's not, then we've got 1, 2, and then 1 more turn. So we have at most 3 turns left, and we have 4 cards left in our deed deck. So that could be pretty helpful. Okay, let's see what those 3 cards are. Well, we know we have Emerald Ring, March, okay, another move, and Determination, our attacker block. I think we have to attack this guy, right? We're standing here. We don't need to move. We could try to get green using Mana Search and try and roll. At the moment, we have blue, red, and yellow, or gold. None of those are really helpful for me at the moment. Another thing I could do is Emerald Ring, gain a green crystal, gain a green mana token. I can use the mana token immediately for this, and that fame would put me over the limit, and then I can level up. And that's not an action or anything. It doesn't have an A up here. That's just a one-time thing. Then this just goes in the discard pile. I'm considering that. And then I can continue. I can move and then perform an action like combat. I don't really need to move though. And so one thing, I don't think I said it yet, but these walls, you see how there's walls here, but not here. If I move from here to here, then they're rampaged. If I move from here to here, that's not the case because the walls exist there. So if you move from a space to another space and that second space doesn't have walls, then they rampage. If they do have walls, then you're fine. All right. Right. Let's roll. Let's roll. Let's keep that blue maybe for determination. So I want to use red and gold. A blue and a green. Okay, that's good. Let's use, I really wanted a white. We haven't seen white. We've seen one white. Okay, we gotta get away from this place. I'm gonna use the green up here for move 4. I need 1 more, so I'm gonna use a move 2 from swiftness to make it a move 6. That's gonna put me into those swamps. And again, like I said, now these guys have been challenged automatically, and we have to fight them to the battle stations. So over here, we need to come up with range attack 4, or siege, of course, or a block of 6 in order to not take this attack. And then we have to come up with attack 4. Do we have range attack 4? Well, we have range attack 2 from the Utem crossbowman. And then we have range attack 3, but we need white in order for this to work. And that's what I keep coming back to, is I need that 1 more. Or that white. I also have this 1. Okay, well that makes 3 between the crossbowman and the that token. So what do I do here? In order to come up with two more, I need white at the very least. So I don't think I'm able to do it. So instead, I'm going to say, like, come at me, basically, and allow them to attack. Now comes the block phase. They have an attack of 3 with swiftness, meaning I need 6 block or just take the hit. And I'm just going to take the hit, and you'll see what I'm going to do here. They're going to attack my peasants. That's an attack of 3. They have an armor value of 3, so they take 1 hit, 1 wound. So we come up here, we take a wound card, and I just cover them up. That's it. We can't use them while they're wounded. If I did this, let's say, if I wounded them, well, I have my command token says that I can use them. Well, that's not the case because they're wounded. So since the peasants have already been used, and they're very easy to heal, or I can just say, I don't want you anymore and then get rid of them. And then this command token becomes free for me to hire somebody else. That's probably the case. I don't think I'm going to spend any wound or healing here unless I have nothing else to do. So incoming attack is over. Now I have to come up with attack 4. Well, that's pretty simple because I can use my crossbowmen for attack 3, and then I can use that catapult, that siege attack 1 for making it an attack of 4, which is exactly what I needed. That's it. This guy's dead. We get 3 from that, so 1, 2, 3, which puts me up for the next level. So I get to choose a card from up here and a token. We also gain 1 plus 1 for reputation. So I already know that I want Force of Nature. The top ability, chosen unit gains physical resistance as combat. If I had played this, for instance, on my peasants, that attack 3 would be totally soaked up by their armor because it's they have physical resistance. Done. Then they don't take the wound. Keep that in mind. But we definitely want this. It's more siege and it's way more block if necessary. It's also very good for our Emerald Ring. So we're going to take that. That goes to the top of our deed deck. And then we take 2 tokens from our character tokens. And then we can also bring in the one that was left over from last time from the offer. So we can, right. In order to take this one, we have to take this card from this space. It can't be this one or this one. It has to be that one. So I can't take this one. And I'm fine with that because I don't want it. I want that other ability card. Deed card. Advanced action. Been playing a lot of Frosthaven, so getting everything mixed up. This one is suggesting that we can discard a wound from our hand, not from there, and we can gain a red or black mana token. Or we can discard any other deed card. It could be an advanced action, it can be a spell, it could be a basic action, it could even be an artifact. So it can be any card with this back other than a wound. And we would gain a green or white mana token. This one is we get influence 2 during the day and 3 at night. While this is good if we want to be hiring a lot of units, I'm more inclined to do this so that we can gain either that green by throwing something away. Even white would be nice because we want to be using that swiftness. But red and black would be really good to get too if we ever get a chance to get a spell. Then we can use that spell at night. So I'm going to take this one, and it can be once per turn. It's one of those that doesn't get turned over. This one as well, we can use this every turn for the day or night. We still haven't come up with one that has that flip token. No. Okay, well that's it for that level. For that level up, that is. So we have 3 cards in our hand. So we take 1, 2 cards, right? We bring down another card to fill the offer back up. Refreshing Luck, another green. Like moving and healing is pretty good. And now it goes to the dummy. 1, 2, 3. It's blue. Great. So 1 more card, which means there's 1 card here. We have this turn. They're just going to flip this 1 card over. We have 1 more turn. They say it's the end of round, and then we have 1 final turn. So we have 3 turns. That's great. Let's see here. Probably going to want to use that. Right. We need to re-roll this stuff here. Red. Those go away. Let's see what those 2 cards are. We already know what the first one is, Force of Nature, and the other one is Promise. This is a card that we would use sideways for basically anything else if we're not looking for healing or bringing in any units. So this is a +1 for everything else at this point. All right, so we definitely want to bring in another tile here. I'm hoping for the best here. It's night. I don't want to see any more forests. I would love to see a mage tower so we can show what that does, and so that I can actually attack it and we would gain a spell. That would be wonderful. You can also purchase spells at Mage Tower too, which is part, the other half, Mage Knight, right? Okay, well, we don't have a whole lot of movement here. I've got swiftness, which is just a move of 2. And yeah, that's all I could do. Okay. I could play like Promise sideways for a move of 3. I think I just have to do it. Let's just go for it. We're going to use swiftness for move 2 to reveal that tile. There, look at that. And it's even in the desert too. Let's zoom in here. So these are desert. It's the opposite of the forest I showed before. It's 3 at night and 5 move points during the day. We have another orc, so we'll pull that one. That one is, I don't know what that is. Shrouded Necromancers. So these ones would summon one of those orcs for the attack, and then we decide what it has an attack for. It is fortified, which is that little icon up here, meaning we can't use range attacks. We could use siege, but not range, unless we can remove that fortification. So that goes right up there. And then we pull a violet token for that. We've seen that one before. And this one, just like the keeps, is face down. And during the day, if you enter a hex adjacent to it, it reveals. At night, it only reveals when you attack it. So we'll probably want to face that, but during the day. Finally, we get some space that we can move around in. But because this is desert, we're probably going to be stuck back there for the daytime. So how do we do this? Now we need to move into this. Luckily, it's only 2 to get in there. Another thing we can do in towns is in between turns, meaning like during the dummy turn, right before or right after our turn, we can pillage a town, and that gives us 2 extra cards, but it reduces our reputation further by 1. Let's see here. I assume I'm not going to be using this, so we'll play that sideways, and I think I'm going to play this sideways as well, so that I can at least move out of this swampy area. And maybe what we'll do is try and reveal this this tile as well, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we reveal 1 more, then we only have the 4 tiles left, these map tiles left, and 2 of the last 4 are the cities, and we need to find them and conquer them. So we've played those 2. We've now moved into that hex. That's unfortunately just going to be my turn as is. So, yep. I didn't do mana search this turn, but it really didn't matter. Yeah, I didn't have enough movement points to try and make an attack over here. I have my Emerald Ring and Force of Nature, and we actually have the other green siege card in here, and I'm going to be drawing the last 3 cards from our deck. Okay, there it is. Now it's over here. Oh, and it's white, but that's it. Now we have a turn. They're going to declare end of round, and then we have 1 more turn after that. So let's see here. Oh man, this is all of our crystal cards here. Concentration, we can just gain some tokens, or we can get the stronger effect of something for free +2. We can crystallize to gain a crystal, and then we can play Crushing Bolt for Siege 3, or just gain a green crystal. Honestly, that might be the good thing to do. I could do a few, oh man, I could do a lot of things actually. Let me see. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do much with this card here. Now I could potentially play 2 cards sideways. Let's zoom in up here again. I could play 2 cards sideways, get to here, challenge them, and then try and do like Siege 5. That is a possibility, because I have 3. I have 3 there. I also have this, so I have like Siege 7 if I really want to. I can get stuff from this. I mean, there's a lot of options here, and I could do it. Or I can sit right where I am and just crystallize. We can play this one. I can play Concentration to get a token and then crystallize it immediately. Then I can play Emerald Ring to get a green crystal. I could play Crushing Bolt to get a green crystal. Really, I've got a lot of options here. I think what I'm going to do before I do anything is mana search.
1 hour later.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay right where I am and just build for next round. I can go here and kill this and actually still put a green crystal in my inventory. And I would also be gaining another fame on top of all of that, which would be 4 fame, one of those little tokens, the dark tokens. There's also a light token when they have that icon on it. But one's like evil, one's good, I guess. Yeah. Or I could sit here and gain 1, 2, 3 crystals, and that's basically it. But 3 crystals is much better than 1 and a little bit. I can clear both of these out probably pretty easily in the next turn. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay right where I am. And we're going to be playing. First, I'm going to play Crystallize with a blue. That is going to give me anyone that I want. I want white, because I don't have another way of gaining white other than discarding a card and then giving myself a white mana token. Then I'm going to play Crushing Bolt for the top, gain a green crystal to your inventory. Done. Put green in there. Then I'm going to play Emerald Ring. Emerald Ring is going to give me a mana token and a green crystal, plus a fame. So I'll do that now. 1 fame, 1 green crystal, and a green mana token. Okay. And unfortunately, that's basically all I'm going to be able to do. I could move, and I think I'll do that. I'll spend these 2 last cards just to move over. I'll play them sideways. So I'll do this and then all of this. And that means I'm going to end my turn in a space where I can reveal the next tile. I can make 2 attacks as long as I have a lot of movement to get into here, because I need 5 movement to do that. Reveal this, maybe attack what's in there, and then start circling back around this way on the new map tiles, if of course movement allows me to. So I think that's good. That's probably enough. This gets re-rolled, so that's gold, whatever. This green mana token does go away. I would discard all of this. Okay. And then I now have a white and 2 green crystals, and that's really good going into daytime number 2. So it now goes to Dummy. Dummy says it's now the last turn. Well, it comes back to me and I don't have any cards anyway. So it is the last turn. It's the last, the round is over. And now it goes into the day 2 cycle, and all of this gets refreshed. We would take this card. This card goes into their deck. It's a green or a red. This one acts a little differently, but it doesn't have green or red crystals in there. So I'm not too scared about that. Then that gets shuffled in. We take the bottom spell, and whatever color that is, we give that to them as another crystal. They have 4 white crystals. That's not good, but it does mean that if it's blue, green, or red, then we don't have to worry about it too much. You know, blue is just that 1 crystal. This just, oh, by the way, Whirlwind Tornado, amazing spell. I enjoy that one quite a bit. So that just goes under here, and I won't show this in the future whenever I play this and in the future turns, but I just want to show it because I think it's interesting for now. Maximal effect. I got a friend that loves this card. It is a very good card, but it basically you have to throw a card away from your hand. It can be any action, so it's not a spell, but an advanced or basic action from your deed cards, and you can gain it like ×2 or ×3, depending on if you play it for the stronger or weaker effect. These cards would go away, and then we draw. We can only draw from here because we haven't revealed a core tile. I think these are country and these are core. The ones with like, this is a green and that's supposed to be brown, but to me it's like the same color. As soon as we've revealed one of these last 4, then we start seeing the stronger units coming in. So for now, we just draw 3 from there. Shock troops, thugs, and Utem guardsmen. These ones are pretty cool. This goes away, and because there are no monasteries that are alive, like there's one but it's burned, and there's no other ones, we don't put one here now. Okay, this gets rolled. Okay, yellow, white, and red, that means battles are coming. We grab the remaining 4 daytime initiative cards. These go into the source. Always good to see a gold during the day. And and then we pull one more spell. Offering Sacrifice. Another very, very interesting card there. Okay, so it's just some shuffling. These also move up. We still can't use this until we remove that through healing. And one last thing that I forgot to do is, because we've leveled up, so has the dummy basically, and they chose their one. So the one they didn't choose is this one, which is a one-time use per day, per night. You gain a blue crystal and heal 1. That one's pretty decent. I might take a look at that in the future if this bottom card is good for me. So yeah, that's it. We're going to go into day 2. Plan would be, reveal this, attack both of those places. Right. Because it's daytime, this gets revealed because we're standing next to that mage tower. These are thugs, I think. They're like mages or something like that. They're not thugs. They're definitely not thugs. That was stupid of me. Sorcerers. There they are, sorcerers. And I'll explain this real quick, and then we've got one more thing to flip. That icon means we can't use magical abilities against it. So we can't force it to... There's a long list of things we cannot do to it. But we can still use fire ranged attack, something like that. But we can't force it to not attack. Like with that tornado spell, we can't say you can't attack because it has magical immunity. Poison and this little dagger icon means that they attack you. They do not attack your units. Instead, you have to be the one receiving this attack. So we have to come up with 6 block or more. Otherwise, at the moment, we would take 2 wounds because it's 3, and then 2 wounds would go into our discard pile. So these guys can be a little nasty if you can't block or siege or range attack them, but don't have to think about that right now. We'll think about that in the daytime. And then this one gets revealed no matter where it is on the map during the day. And that says we have to pull a gray and a brown or tan kill them both, and then we gain an artifact. Pretty sweet. Maybe we want to circle around here during the daytime, or reveal this and start circling around while revealing more. And maybe we make it over here. It doesn't look very good. Depends on what this is, because if it's like more desert, then I might be heading back into the forest to kind of attack here, and then we'll start putting those core tiles there. It just depends on how this turn goes, and these are all just kind of things thrown up into the air and ideas, and we can think about how we can do that, but obviously we need the cards to come up at the right times and the right tiles to come up. So we'll see all this in day 2.